and not all of us have empathy. So in some instances, there's going to be people who are out there, and I don't normally swear, that just simply don't give a fuck. They're never going to care. They're only here to cause discord, and they feed off it. Omni-Eris would call them psychic vampires. I would call them psychopaths. But whichever category you want to drop them in, there are people out there that there is no reaching, there is no helping. And cognitively, some would say that they're way better than the average Joe. And as a result of the way they were, they become successful as a result of the discord and the chaos that they cause.
But that's only in this messed up society. In a non-messed up society, they're ostracised, they're asked to move away from the village. So
absolutely, they're not tolerated.
Yeah.
In society, not only tolerated, positively encouraged.
Yes, yeah. So you have the psychological profiling and all these things to make sure you're the kind of person who's not going to question, who will push your own morality aside, in order to promote to toe the line kind of thing. Yeah, yeah.
But people who are doing that sort of thing and if they call themselves flat earthers, are they really flat earthers? If they want to hurt other people?
Well, this is the thing. A psychopath, like Nathan would say, a psychopath would call himself anything as long as he gets to, shake a stick at other people. As long as he gets to sling dirt, or she, as long as anybody wants to fuck around with people, they'll come in and call themselves a flat earther. Who are we to say that they're not, other than by their behaviour? And it's at this point that we can start saying, like you're indicating, it's behaviour, it's the way we treat each other and treat the wider world. If you see somebody that's behaving in a way that tells you, like, dude, you can't, there's no way that you're understanding that this is the signature of the Creator. Everywhere you look, everything was created. If you don't see that, you're not a flat earther. And if you're not seeing that it means that you too were created, and you think it's okay to go around abusing people, you're not a flat earther, you're a psychopath. You're tricking people into thinking you're a flat earther, or you've tricked yourself into thinking you're a flat earther, but you're not. Because being cruel and nasty to each other is not a thing that's compatible with understanding the higher implications. It's just not compatible. And this is one of the things I like about this, movement, phenomenon, this awakening, that it's really easy to see people's true colours. It's really easy, It's just spend some time with them, spend some time watching what they're doing. Before you know it, you go, yeah, this person's freaking brilliant. This person...
Brilliant people. We haven't heard much from Robert. But
yes, I keep wanting to...
A little preamble before I ask you something, though. Rob, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that you're going to be more and more prevalent. And somebody that seemed to follow a similar pattern in the early stages, she'll back me on this, is Robin Poe. So she came forward with the most phenomenal story, the most exceptional proof there was, but she was kind of an unknown, and then she became a bit more of a videographer and made more and more presence. But she just got attacked more vigorously, or whatever the word is, than most people. So I anticipate, and no, Antonio's already sort of preempted this for you, that you'll get the same. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Is that any clear at all?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. By the way, sorry, I just did the hand gesture, but I refuse to be cowed by people who say that all hand gestures are endorsing something. No. If you're part of a belief system that thinks that these hand gestures mean 666, then so be it. It doesn't mean 666 to me, and I'm not being tricked by the devil into doing it to display something. This means okay or perfect. This is what you do in a restaurant in Spain when the waiter looks at you and wants to know whether you need more service. You say, no, it's okay.
Right, and this red hoodie doesn't mean he's Satan. This red hair doesn't mean I'm the lady in red either, just in case anybody was wondering. Anyway, continue, Robert.
Yes, how are you going to deal with the onslaughts?
Yes.
I basically give a kind reply back, and anybody that's really kind of severely offensive, then I probably won't reply to that. But yeah, it's easy to kind of ignore a lot of the thing and just deflect it back at them just by saying, okay, that's your point of view, thanks. And that kind of looks a bit more mature than kind of getting into an argument. But everyone kind of handles it different, and I have attacked them back as just as hard as they've given me in the past. But I try to be a bit kinder now, so therefore they don't get so much satisfaction. It's like if you're driving a car and then someone cuts you up and they get all offended and they're raging and fierce. If you just smile back and wave, then you feel so much better. And they're absolutely exploding at the other end, and just by kind of doing that, it's a more positive way to feel good yourself, and then to know that you're not been affected by them, and they're more affected, I think, by some of the comments when you do that, because they sometimes want that reaction to get a reply back and start that communication, so it feeds their initial want to do that.
Yes, indeed.
When you're out in Antarctica, Robert, and you've had a falling out with one of your colleagues, how did you cope then? Because you can't get away from them.
I mean, yeah, with 14 people in close proximity, and in everyone's under each other's feet, then the smallest things developed in the middle of winter. So someone would get upset over the slightest things, and the best way that you were told to handle it is everyone has a discussion. So you sit down, each person says what their problem is, and then basically you apologise. This is it. That's all you do is apologise, and therefore you feel better that you've actually understood that the person's been hurt by, even if you're not aware of it, you understand that they're understanding that you feel sorry for the situation, and that in itself I think is a better way to kind of handle it. Again, otherwise you would very much kind of get into fisticuffs and arguments, and it kind of never really resolve, I think.
Was there ever any time that the meeting happened and everybody had a problem with you, and you apologised and then you switched their heating off?
Never. No, never. I think I had one occasion, and it was something over nothing, and it was resolved very quickly, just with kind words, apology, and forgiveness at the end from the other people.
I've got a question from the chat, actually. Sorry to interrupt you two. From a friend of ours called GED Skeptic Media, who says how large was the calorie intake per day?
5,000 or 6,000. As an example, you'd have breakfast in the morning, then you might have a snack, so a bacon roll, that type of thing, mid-morning, and then a midday meal, afternoon snack, and then an evening meal, and then obviously there's leftovers and the usual base supply of crisps, chocolates, and soft drinks, and that type of thing. So lots of calories, and you tended to burn it off. And if you did burn it off, the extra fat didn't go amiss because it did act as insulation. I put 2 stone on when I was in Antarctica and lost 2 stone when I come back. So quick as it was there, it did peel off, and that was commonplace for a lot of people that I spoke to. You put on the weight, you lose the weight, because again, your body doesn't need it, it sheds it, and you're not eating all the calories as well, because the calories are pretty much what does it.
You mentioned the per head, the money per head. You compared the military with yourselves. Do you remember?
Yeah, when I was there, the head per day is the amount of kind of money they'll allocate each individual person. So what they'll do, they'll total up that year or how long you're there, work out how much food they need, and then obviously get that supply in so there's enough to cover everyone on the base. Otherwise you'd end up with too much food and not enough food. Obviously the base will set an amount for that. That was around about £24. The average naval crew member, a standard, not an officer. I think the officer had about £2 or £3. The standard for the naval officer was about £1 a head.
And for you?
£25. So the food was really, really good quality, and they didn't. I think you need it when you're there. It's just so extreme. So hard on your body.
A lot of pleasures are taken away from you, or you volunteer to have them taken away. So
you're in a zone where you can't go shopping, you can't go and see your friends, you can't just go out for a walk without dressing up and wearing all the layers of clothing that you need so you don't get frostbite or the cold effect. So it is tough on the mind. So I think if the food was bad as well, that'd really send a lot of people over the edge quite quickly.
So were you living day to day? Were you living like breakfast and then you're out doing whatever, thinking, okay, lunch soon, and then lunch and then out doing whatever? Okay.
So I was food orientated. Like I said, when I was there, I gave up smoking for many, many months, and it was only after many months I kind of decided to go back to it. But stopping that period of time, I was even more interested in food.
So when you were smoking, was there a smoking quota?
No, just the bottom of the platform.
Oh.
So
in the cold.
In the cold, every time.
Get out.
They couldn't ostracise you any more than being at the bottom of the platform, but it was far worse because everything was tinder dry, and it wouldn't have taken a spark to...
Well, I wouldn't mind if they made a metal room as long as I can smoke. I mean, I'm not going anyway, but...
I suppose I could have sat in a drum, and that would have been okay. A drum.
Robert, what you were saying about if people had a problem with other people while you were there, all stationed in close quarters, that everyone would gather together and talk?
No, it was very much between that person that had a problem and you. You'd go and have like a private discussion.
Yes.
And just in that discussion, you would resolve it kind of that way.
Is that what was mandated? I mean, what I'm thinking is that within Flat Earth, that would be nice if people were able to do that with each other, to just message somebody.
I think it was recommended to help resolve a situation without making it any more of, building resentment, building a grudge against a person and getting that kind of situation unfold over many months of being with the same person, because again, you can't escape. So the slightest thing, if it starts developing a bad feeling with that everyone feels the bad feeling
Well,
in bases, they've had previous times where doctors and the highest professional people there have just gone completely insane and burnt the bases down. It did happen in the Argentinian base. The doctor went, got cabin fever halfway through, burnt the base down. They were all evacuated and sent back. So they really have to ensure they've got good ways of diffusing it.
Well, I might do that if they made me not smoke.
Luckily, they always had the option there. I think that's to ensure that if you do need to smoke, you don't go mad in the process. Yeah, but yeah, they did have a base supply for emergency. So if you were a smoker and then suddenly you needed to smoke, then you could pay for the tobacco and do it that way.
Well, the original question was about calorie intake. So there were the meals, but then there was, you mentioned the tuck shop.
The meals are tuck shops, and obviously they recommended that you didn't eat obviously too much because you're going to get really overweight and it's not good for my teeth. But the teeth suffered, I think, because of the water didn't have any minerals in it. It was very pure, and it's not like the water we drink. It's a different thing because it's just natural and it's just air accumulation. So that's why it's the purest water in the world, because there's least pollution there.
Also, I suppose the actual goal as you're breathing, would be so good. I heard some time ago that in Norway they had television, like public announcements in the winter for children to not drink hot chocolate immediately after arriving home from school because the teeth might crack, to wait a while. So I suppose that might be also a factor, the actual cold. I don't know.
Your fillings could get affected, and it's normally if you've got the amalgam mercury fillings that cause the problem. And when I went there, they ensured that everyone that went had all mercury fillings, amalgam fillings removed, and you actually had private medical treatment on your teeth, so they would ensure that they're all white fillings.
That's interesting
because of that reason of the expansion and cold, and
but also
because can explode.
Yeah, but also amalgam fillings can cause psychosis, can't they? Mercury.
Leach mercury. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Even small amounts, but it still accumulates. It doesn't dissipate.
Yeah, so this is for Jet Skeptic out there. Go and get your feelings out and you'll see the world a bit more clearly.
I've got a question for you, Robert. Something that you said to us at the Oxford meet was that you said that you could basically, because they've got magistrates down there, is that right, did you say?
The base commander is sworn in as a magistrate to administer any situation that unfolds. So if someone did something to someone else or assaulted them, or serious, that type of nature, they could do the necessary to ensure that the proceedings would carry on and they would be tried, that type of thing. It's to ensure that no one kind of steps over the line and that the law still applies. I think that's why they do it.
Sure. My immediate question to you was, so can they lock you up? And your answer was, well, no, there's no way to lock you up. Can they medicate you?
They could, yes. Yeah, they can medicate you. They have all the... They used to have straitjackets and that type of thing, and I think they have different restraints now, not straitjackets as such. But yeah, they can straitjacket you or restrain you up and then inject you with antipsychosis drugs. So they have all that stuff there.
There's a medication called haloperidol, which is like a medical kosh. It works like a straitjacket. It gives you what's it called? Spasticity. Basically, you can't move freely. It's illegal in some states in the US, but not in the UK, so I suppose that they might have used that.
I would say that they have that type of stuff there, because obviously if someone goes bad and starts running around and picks up a knife, and that you'd have to deal with them quickly to ensure no one gets hurt.
And your sleeping quarters, did you have your own individual sleeping quarters?
Yeah, I had individual sleeping quarters, and sometimes in the summertime when the extra workers and crew to maintain the base come in, you'd have to double the quarters. They're normally bunks, and then you could take the top off and just make it like a bed. So yeah, double bunk beds that kind of reduce down into one. So in the winter you've got your own room to yourself.
What about women and men? How many women were there?
There were 2 women, and the rest were men, so low ratio.
Mm-hmm.
You have to kind of, again, ignore those kind of situations and feelings, because again that would add into more emotion and more emotional stress for yourself. If you're out wanting to hook up with somebody and you can't do that, then that is a frustration and situation. If you couldn't cope with it, it would lead to problems long term.
Yeah.
That's no offence, you all look like Yetis, so it's not exactly the most sexually attractive.
And all the people there had, the girls all had boyfriends, and either there or away. So yeah, it was a situation that didn't cause any problems anyway to start with.
Well, women are
whites
anyway, so even if they didn't have boyfriends, they would have said it.
That makes sense.